the LaxFactor podcast. We get into the last segment, Ask Ted. I see a lot of these pro players now starting to pop up their programs, and they're starting to pop up online training programs, and they're doing a better job of getting on the YouTube and all that stuff. So I had Sergio Salcido reach out to me to see if we would help promote his new program that he's offering through SergioSalcido48.com. It's called Train My Way. There will be a link in the description so you can go check that out. Other players are doing similar things. Rob Pannell's done a couple of these. Rob Pannell's actually, kind of gone on and has kind of done a circuit, and he did some of these. I think it might have been for U.S. Lacrosse or some other organizations, and they seem to pan out well, and now he's ripping off his own program also. Ripping off, I just mean rattling off. He's, you're starting to see pro players put out content, and it's all good, all better than the shit that I do. And a lot of people have asked in a lot of the lacrosse forums and groups and Facebook pages and all that, are these programs worth it? And my answer to that is yes, I think they are. I think that what it comes down to me is if you're strapped for cash, are these programs worth it? Hell no. If you are strapped for cash, I don't think it's worth putting your kid through these programs unless it's so important to that kid. Let's say your kid is a huge Salcido fan, and he just loves everything that 4-8 does on the field, did on the field for Syracuse, and does on the field now within the PLL. If your player loves that guy, then yeah, this would be a great gift. It would be a great Christmas present. It would just be good for training. If you can afford it and it's not going to cause you to miss a mortgage payment, I think that these programs are marginally worth it. If you can afford it and money is not an object and your kid is a fan of these players, it's worth it all day long. The reality is, all of these guys got good by training. They all were in good positions. They all had good coaches, but they didn't have the stuff that your kids now have at their disposal. So when I was training as a kid, that we had nothing. We just kind of went out to the cage and shot. We didn't have any focused training. I've talked about this before. And when your kid's practicing, you want them to want to practice the right way, but it's hard as a parent. It's hard even as a coach often to get these kids to practice the right way. So where you're dealing with young kids who are very impressionable, who look up to these players, you show your young kid and you have your young kid watch some of the drills that Sergio Salcido would put forth within part of his program. Your kid's going to do those things. Your kid's going to listen to a degree to Sergio Salcido, to 4-8, tell him, hey, here's how I shoot. Here's how here are some drills that we do. Here's some footwork drills. Here's some shooting drills. Here's some dodging drills. You want your kid to train, but you want it to be fun. So you want your kid to play sports, but you want it to be fun. These programs are a huge way to kind of bridge that gap between you give them some really solid things to do. It is a professional lacrosse player that they love and that they look up to that's telling them, hey, here's this drill that you need to do. If it gets your kid to do the drill, and if it's a drill that maybe you've seen that drill before, maybe you haven't. So I think with a lot of these programs, you'll probably end up recognizing half of these drills to a degree that they show the kids, and the other half are probably unique or different angles and different approaches off of those drills. So as it pertains to, are these programs that these pro players are putting out, these online programs, worth the money? I say if you're not strapped for cash, absolutely they're worth the money, especially if that player is a player that your kid's into or plays a position that your kid wants to play. I had a friend of mine who recently had talked about how her son has fallen in love as a player with Jamie Trimboli. And it's one of those deals where kids are going to pick out a player that has a specific style, that plays a similar position. Maybe Trimboli tore it up in one of the games that kid was at, and he got to see Trimboli drop 3 goals and a helper or something like that in one of those games, and that's why he's decided that's his guy. Maybe he's heard people talk about him. Whatever the reason may be, kids are going to attach themselves to players, and where that player has content that could help that kid progress as a player, put it in front of them. And if that content isn't free, put it in front of them if you can afford it. So in this case here, Sergio Salcido, go to Sergio Salcido 48. SergioSalcido48.com, and you can learn more. It's called Train My Way. I'll put a link in the description that will take you directly to either the pre-order or the order page for that program. And there's also going to be a promo code within the description that you can use to get a discount. I think it was a 10% discount off of the price. And so yes, my answer is I believe they are worth it if you have the money. I believe they are worth it if you can come up with the money to a small degree. And then if you can't come up with the money, no, it's not worth it. at that point, and then you just use YouTube and just be smart and coach your own kid and try to take advantage. Ask questions. You have coaches that can help put them into drills that they can do to improve themselves. But then you can just use the YouTube. The YouTube is huge. Jesse James West, I see, is putting a bunch of new content out where he's interviewing pros and doing some drills. So you can check out his channel as well. Jesse, I think it's Jesse James West. Guy, he's a player. Right now, I believe he plays D3 ball right now, and he's a hell of a player, and his YouTube channel is excellent, and it's great content, but now I think he's getting more into training type content, whereas before it was more a day in the life of a lacrosse player type content. So check out his stuff, check out Rabel's stuff, check out Sergio Salcido stuff on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. If you are a defender, one of the things you need to check out is Rick Beardsley's Instagram page. Rick Beardsley has put up a bunch of insanely cool quick hit defensive drills that you can do, more importantly, with limited guys. And that's especially for a guy like me who was always I was an attackman as a player, a little bit of midfield as a younger man. And that was, for me as a coach, one of the harder things for me to do is to figure out things to do with defenders. And my defensive assistant was, a great defender and a great coach as well. But Beardsley, I wish I had my hand on some of these drills that he's been putting up on Instagram. So if you check out Rick Beardsley, former Syracuse, just disgusting beast defender, he puts out great content on Instagram, mostly regarding defenders and just quick hit defensive drills and things like that. So check him out as well. So yes, the content that these pros are putting out, the free content, the paid content, all of it has its place and as part of your kid's training. And I think that the unique thing about the pro content, especially the paid pro content, I think is that it's going to be cool for your kid. And if your kid's kind of on that line of they like their stick in their hand, they like to get out there and they're shooting and they're spending time out on the cage already, giving them these types of programs and just giving them a little bit of focus, it will be huge for progressing them as a player, I think, because having Sergio or having Rob Pannell or some of these other guys just say, hey, here's a drill that I do. If that kid does that drill even just a handful of times over the course of a month, that's going to help him. But you may end up lucking out and having a kid that decides to be a savage and follows these programs all the way through, and you may end up bucking up $300, $400, $500 for these programs and actually see the work and the progress and things like that. So I think they are worth it if you have the loot. That's my long rambling pitch for it. So that's it for this episode. As I keep saying, SergioSalcido48.com. Go check that out. There will be a link in the description. There will be a coupon code to go along with that. If you want to support the channel beyond that, you can go to LaxFactor.com. You can listen to the full version of this podcast in one shot, the full audio version of this podcast, or you can watch these videos on YouTube and piecemeal. But as always, go to LaxFactor.com. You can get yourself some swag. We have shorts. We have T-shirts. We have all sorts of stuff, and we'll be back next week. We're going to kind of be a little bit slow leading into the next couple of weeks as the season isn't here yet. So I figure through the holiday, we'll just go once a week, spread those videos out on YouTube across three quick segments, and then come January, we'll start getting into the real, true preseason nitty-gritty as we approach February's launch. So as always, thank you for watching, and enjoy.